The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at sword school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. Before it's too late.
Renato hoped there weren't bats. Bats freaked him out. There was a cat in this one, and something useful. What else could you hook? The waterfall was spectacular. Well, you had to enjoy these things as they came. We passed this way but once. Wait a second. Renato, smash!
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. You never knew where the road would take you, thought Renato.
You almost never saw wild gogglers together like this. The toads had to train them not to peck each other to death. So these had to be imperial gogglers. That meant ravens were up ahead. It was a bit windy up here. Sensed the jewel's power. He had a feeling they were going to be great friends.
The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. "You're weak," whispered the stone. Are you afraid of it? No, don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you if so much as carry it. And if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Reynardo did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards.
Calaveras had once explained to Reynardo how portals worked, but no matter how hard he tried to understand, the words just flew out of his brain. Reynardo checked for a false compartment. Nope. The thing about puzzles was, once you solved one, you knew how to solve it again. Puzzles had no, what was the word? Replayability? Reynardo wondered if you could design a puzzle that would be different every time you played with it. Wouldn't that be fun? "Give me a lever," said Archimedes, "and I shall open a gate."
As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical.
No! It's too much power. We will rip a hole in space and time.
He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out.
When Renato came to, the core was gone. But the Iblis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light.
And it was silent. "I can't hear you," he sang out, and "You?" It didn't answer. "Ha!" he said.
He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he? As the Farfarer made its way toward the Nexus, Renato watched sparks fly out of the core. The Iblis stone sucked them in hungrily. You'd think the stone would want this kind of power, wouldn't it? Thought Renato. Well, the scientists would explain it all.
This time, Renato was sure he'd figured out how to use the core safely.